on the Bay of Bengal, the 5th conference on the Bay of Bengal Maritime Dialogue. Now, I don't represent any organization. I am more like that German cruiser that raided the Bay of Bengal during World War I, because I can fire my shots at anyone I want and at any time I want. Nevertheless, this is an important discussion in which I will not deal with the subjects that are under discussion. I think your collective expertise beats me by about 100 to 1,000 times. So let you all deal with that. I just thought I'd speak about a few words on the Bay of Bengal, because in a way we are meeting at a very crucial time. Actually, the last summit, the 5th summit, was held at a crucial time. Parallel to that, President Trump announced the reciprocal tariffs. With that, we see the undoing of an order which the Americans set in place in the 1990s. As a result of this, we have these regional organizations such as BIMSTEC and ASEAN, in addition to the globalized economy and the trading system. Whether we like it or not, President Trump has decided that there should be a change in the system. Globalization will not disappear, but it will get weakened. The question then, are we to replace it with regionalism? You could always see now, European Union is moving in that direction. What do we do here in this region? Are we to build up a regionalism? Is it going to be BIMSTEC? Is it going to be ASEAN? Is it going to be BRI? I think regionalism also requires commonality. And that would come through the Bay of Bengal. Not merely the space that Bernard referred to as being the largest water body, something that stretches from the west coast of India to somewhere near Vietnam. After all, that was the old Bay of Bengal civilization. Remember, we were a center of global civilization, and our impact is equal or more than that of Mediterranean. No other water body has had that influence on civilizations. From the time the major religions of India was transmitted to that part of the world, from the time the major scripts of Sanskrit and Pali was also transmitted there, came around a civilization. Buddhism made a unique contribution because it removed the prohibition on sea transport. Once shipping and maritime governance, developments took place, the whole area was actually run or ruled not by any kingdom. Of course, Bernard in his Gunatilaka in his speech referred to one of the names for the Bay of Bengal being Vanga Sagare, which has connections to us because Prince Vijaya's father was a ruler of Vangadesh, and Kaundia also went from Vangadesh to Vietnam. But there were the big trading guilds which came in all the way, the Manigarams, the 500 guild of the guild of 500 merchants and others who operated, whose main headquarters bases were in Nagapatnam, Vishakhapatnam, Mahabalipuram, and into Mahantai and Gokarna, which was Trincomalee. They operated from here all the way to Canton. It's they who determined the civilization, the religions, and the order in that area till the coming of the Portuguese. Do you know that, now that you're on to maritime strategy, that the Cholas, in alliance with the Angkor Wat and the Kema Kingdom, came across the bay and took over Srivijaya. Sri Lanka's King Parakram Bahu sailed across the bay again to Myanmar, to Ramana Desha. And then Prince Chandrabahu came from present-day Thailand. He came over to Sri Lanka with the armies and took the country over. So we've been crossing these waters long before, in 1945, the Normandy beachhead was established. We've been going in and out of it. But this is the trading system we created until it was replaced by the British East India Company and the Dutch East India Company. So now we are again looking at the Bay of Bengal. Should we look at the Bay of Bengal? I think we have to look at, my personal view, we have to go for regionalism and you have to build it around. Can we build a trade bloc? Can we lead to some trade integration? On one side, there is the BIMSTEC. On the other, there is ASEAN. But remember, ASEAN is also a part of RCEP. And countries like Myanmar and Thailand belong to both those. Then how are we going to build these trade agreements? Because at the same time the reciprocal tariffs were announced, we also had India having its negotiations with US, China having its negotiations with US, Japan having its negotiations with US, Korea having its negotiations with US, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Cambodia and Laos all will be informed by the Secretary of Treasury, Ludwig, what we are getting. So in a way, that is also diluting the trade regional trade arrangements that we have. Now you can't move away. I think anyone who can get a break into the US market should do so, whether it be China or India or Japan or anyone else. But we should also have our agreements, and shouldn't BIMSTEC, for instance, take up the issues of Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Myanmar, or ASEAN also to take up ones of Laos and Cambodia and many others who will get left behind, will be in the 100 that has to deal, will have to receive a letter from the Secretary of Commerce in USA or the STR, whoever it be. So this is one issue. Secondly is, how do we have trade integration? How do we move towards it? ASEAN and RCEP have been more successful than BIMSTEC. Are the BIMSTEC countries to negotiate as a bloc? Or will the BIMSTEC countries negotiate separately? Or like Sri Lanka did a few years back, even apply to join the RCEP. So those are issues that have to be, I cannot answer now, but that have to be addressed, certainly, when you are looking at trade. Why do I say it? If you look, as I said in Bangalore about 2 weeks back, if you look at our region, by 2050, India will be the second largest economy. Its GDP will grow from 3 trillion to 30 trillion. That's really the engine of growth. Indonesia most probably will be the fourth largest, if not the fifth. So in the Bay, you have the second largest economy globally GDP-wise and the fourth largest economy. Then amongst the first 30 will be Bangladesh, Thailand, Malaysia and Vietnam. So look economically how strong we are going to be. Are we to utilize this? Are we to leverage this to look at a trading arrangement in the Bay of Bengal? This is one. Secondly, is trade, as we said, of trade integration, there must also be connectivity. Now, what is the connectivity? Already, ASEAN, there is a leverage between RCEP, ASEAN and BRI, where you see Western China and the ASEAN area connectivity being developed. China's, Western China is now the eye for development, the focus for development. The connectivity from Central Asia, the land, the belt, all comes to Chongqing. From Chongqing is the Yangtze economic belt, which goes to the Pacific. You will find the China-Singapore connectivity, which will ensure first rail connectivity and then sea connectivity to Singapore. Singapore connectivity goes beyond that into trade, into finance and all. I won't deal with it here. That's not an issue. But then there's sea connectivity, land, rail, sea connectivity. Then there is also China, Laos, Thailand connectivity, the high-speed railway that links then again Chongqing to Kunming. Chongqing comes in. And thirdly, you have the China-Myanmar economic corridor, which goes up to the port of Kaipu. So that gives access to the Bay of Bengal. So this is the connectivity that is taking place between RCEP and ASEAN, which will, I think, benefit our region also. I'm leaving aside the geopolitics of it. It's a game that can be played in many ways. But then to it are two other important connectivity. One is the India-Myanmar-Thailand rail link, which means from India you can go to Bangkok, from Bangkok you can go to Chongqing or to Singapore. There is the Bangladesh-Myanmar the rail links, their connectivity. So you are getting full connectivity, and then comes, of course, the land bridge, the one that will connect Rangoon on the Andaman Sea to Chumpon on the Gulf of Thailand. This is to be an alternative to the Malacca Straits. So connectivity here is developed. You can see what it will be in 2050. But on the other side of the Bay of Bengal, it is not so. We have a very lopsided pattern of connectivity. On the eastern side of the Bay of Bengal, going on to the western side of Gulf of Thailand, will be a well-developed system connected onto Western China. On the other hand, it's a question of connectivity on the western side of the Bay of Bengal. My own view, which I think we are looking at it, there has to be a Bangladesh, West Bengal, Bhutan, Nepal economic corridor. That's connectivity. But there's also the other side of it. The most important area is going to be the tip of the subcontinent, Sri Lanka. Economic corridor of Telangana, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, and Sri Lanka. That's the most important area for connectivity. Sri Lanka's ports linked to this part of the landmass, the southern part of the Indian subcontinent, which is developing fast. Today, I think your total combined GDP is about 700 million US, maybe something more. They are looking at about 5 trillion to 6 trillion in 2050. It also offers Sri Lanka a chance of getting out of depending to fall back on apparel economy. We have to look outside, and a regional logistics center is the best. But that requires first a land bridge. But it will open up not only the existing ports, but the ability even to develop. Just imagine the development of the Trincomalee port, but also the ability to have a new port between Vattala and Jayala. There's so much. If you look at, which comes to the next point, I think, which has to be addressed sometime, the whole issue of connectivity. If our economies are going to expand 5 to 10%, how many more containers are going to come? Then look at what is going to take place in the Makaran coast, on East Africa. Suez Canal can't handle it. So what are the other connectivity projects? One is through Chongqing, one is through, another through Gouda, one is through Chabad, another one maybe is the one through Middle East, and they have the talk of one through Dar es Salaam to Angola. So this is a different issue, but I think we've got in that context. But these are ones that we have to discuss further. And when I've talked of the land bridge, this is my view, and what the last government has said. I must say this is not the view of the present government, they have a different view. But nevertheless, I think both land bridge proposals require exhaustive discussions, both environmentally, economically, commercially, culturally and politically. This has to take exhaustive discussion before a final decision is taken, whether it is viable or not, whether to go ahead or not. But it is a new Bay of Bengal that is emerging. And I just thought I'll address you on this, because your maritime dialogue must look at the future and how fast can it go. Part of it is falling into place whether we like it or not. Are we going to build on it, or are we going to let it develop separately? So I don't want to take any more of your time, but like that German raid that I have done enough of firing around, and now I have the option of taking my seat. Thank you.